Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Melanie. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of my series, Managing Self, courtesy of the MS&Me Radio Network. Today, I've been afforded this hour, half an hour, or more specifically, actually 27 minutes, to share with you, the listener, my personal stories, experience of how I manage my MS, multiple sclerosis from day to day. Like myself, you're probably fully aware that no 2 days are the exact same. So what I do is I utilize elements that that I deemed key to stay abreast of the MS monster. Ironically, they all begin with the letter F. F, MS monster. Anyway, fitness, fun, food, and family. I've even considered a name change, but we'll leave it as managing self for now. Okay, so the title of today's show is actually Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And, you may initially say, what does that have to do with management of my MS, my multiple sclerosis? I'll explain, or at least I'll try to explain from my point of view. You see, MS, we all know, is dynamic, just like each of these three said modes of transportation: planes, trains, and automobiles. When each one is operating ideally, life is good. Things are on schedule, little extra, or shall we say non-routine maintenance. Ultimately, you get to our destination. We get the task at hand, it gets completed, get the job done with little or no fuss, ideally, in an almost perfect world. I'll start my comparisons, my metaphors, my allegorical, literary, whatever terms you want to use, but I'll start my comparisons. I'll start in reverse order, and I'll come back to it as, that's where it all started. The first one is, I'm going to start with cars, or automobiles rather. Now, last weekend, I was headed to the gym. I was seeking to find and use a tibia extension machine, or shall we call it an apparatus. You may ask why? Well, because the physical therapist that I'm seeing, she had assessed that I had a significant factor in my imbalance. That this factor was my weakness, apparently in my dorsiflexor muscles. Dorsiflexor is a muscle causing backward flexion of a part of the body, as the hand or the foot. Dorsiflexion is a muscle causing that backward flexion, or shall I say dorsiflexion, it's actually the movement which decreases the angle between the superior surface of the foot and the leg, so that basically that the toes are brought closer together to the shin. Put more simply, it applies to the upward movement of the foot at the ankle joint. This is this said weakness that occurred. Well, pardon me. This is the same weakness that occurred 8 years ago, literally this month, January 10th. This is January 2018. It happened 2010, and it precluded my driving abilities. You may recall last week I mentioned how she assessed some residual drop foot still occurring with my right foot, and like I said, apparently this month commemorates 8 years of dorsiflexion weakness. I guess that's more specific my challenge or issue. I don't have the familiar toe drag, which you may have seen, or you yourself may experience it. That the toe drag occurs when it's basically during the swing phase of walking with your foot. Basically the foot kind of drags from the toe, kind of just dragging the toe forward. But I don't have that, but I do have a mild to moderate incidence of foot slap. Now, foot slap, is occurring on my right foot, and it occurs with the initial contact when walking. So instead of a nice controlled loading response, my foot just literally slaps on the ground, just like plops on the ground, I guess I'd say. Kind of like if I was walking with, what are those things called? Swimmer, the fins you use to swim. It just kind of flaps on the ground, just slaps on the ground. So that's called a foot slap. Like, it's kind of weird. I liken it to what my husband always say, like kind of like you're walking all willy-nilly or something. He's being silly, but essentially that's what it kind of looks like I'm walking willy-nilly. Okay, this is the part about automobiles, I guess automobile segment of my life. Not only was I was driving around the Dallas Metroplex in search of the tibia extension machine to strengthen my ankle last Saturday, but I was kind of was in an odd or somewhat peculiar way. I was wondering how convenient it would be to be more like my car or my automobile. Some folks joke and say that our cars are a direct reflection of ourselves, that our cars match our personality, and that people basically want cars to reflect their personality, or at least project what they want people to think of them. Just for kicks, I took one of those free internet quizzes to see what car matched my personality, and not surprised by the results that were generated from my responses. Over 50%, actually over 60% of the, I guess from my responses, over 60%, it said that the first car, or basically it said that the car that matched my personality was actually the very first car that I actually purchased when I was, grown, let's say. I think I was 24 when I bought my first car, and it was a red sports car, and I guess that matched my personality, or at least what I wanted people to think of me. The second percentile indicated that, by the way, it's 25% was the second percentile, indicated that, my personality matched an SUV, which is interesting because, well, I did get an SUV as my second vehicle, and I did get it specifically to accommodate my off-road bicycle activity. So that's kind of correct there, and it's actually what I drove most of my life. The remaining portion of this indicated that my personality was reflective of a four-door sedan. That's pretty boring in my opinion. I mean, I had one, but wanted to be seen. I guess I had one before I bought my car, but I wanted to be seen as sporty, thus the SUV, and thus the sports car, and then the SUV. After MS, definitely the rugged. SUV was kind of like, okay, I have MS, but I'm tough. I want to portray that, so I guess that kind of makes sense. Well, now I'm kind of back to the four-door sedan like type, sort of, kind of, because I drive a crossover. I guess again, it kind of makes sense also because it's sporty, and it actually has low profile tires, pretty much as low as the first sports car I had. Black rims with all the bells and whistles, of a decent luxury vehicle, and it's red and it's shiny. It's interesting. I think it matches my personality. It's a little smaller than the larger SUV, but again, it's red, shiny. It's I say it's a girl car. I think it matches my personality perfectly. One thing I do know is that I drive it similar to how I treat my body, and that is conservatively, compliant, playing by all the rules, traffic rules, medication rules, taking my medicine on time, seeing the doctor on time, getting whatever treatments I need on time, not one speeding ticket, and not one dosage of medication skipped. Trains. I don't know what you think of, but I think of when I think of trains, I think of a quick mode of transportation. Now, I worked in audit and in finance manager, in the finance department as a finance manager of a major railroad for several years. And I got to see just how powerful these machines were firsthand. I've been aboard a couple of engines. I've watched the 24/7 monitoring of the entire system, of the network operations center, basically monitoring the whereabouts the dispatches, just all the movements of the trains on the rail lines. And in fact, as a finance manager, as a finance manager of casualties and reserves, I was actually responsible for measuring and reporting to the stockholders inadequate liability associated with any incident occurring on the company's over 30,000 miles of track, derailment, hazmat spills, personal injury claims. You know, that was, I was responsible for making sure that was all properly accounted for and reported. Almost $1 billion. That time it was almost about $1 billion of liability that I was responsible for and that I saw and dealt with from a day-to-day basis. Now, I'm okay with a rail car of coal derailing, and spilling the coal and costing X number of dollars, but it's still kind of weird when I think of quantifying the value of a human life lost, or a body part being given or a body part loss being quantified with a standard rate. Today I guess I find that to be almost as surreal as pharmaceutical companies and their calculated cost of the current MS drug therapies. I understand, and I'm not minimizing the efforts that go into producing the medications that are available to us. I understand there's realized cost of research development, but it's the fuzzy logic, that gray area that I often feel that it's like largely driven by political influence and simply the ability to charge more and more and more. Thus the increase in our medical cost rates. Like I said, with the railroad, the car spills some coal. It costs X amount of dollars. I get it. Clean up costs money to get the equipment out there. I get it. It's just the more subjective cost that I don't agree with. Like I said, the railroad has incidentals, and that affects the shipping rates. Vehicles are often shipped in rail cars. There's a price there, but that the cost of incidentals of freight hauling, I get it. Also get, like I said, trains, powerful, quick mode of transportation, very, very powerful force, but very costly as well. Costly, similar to, but not well, costly similar to airplanes, but I think airplanes are probably more costly. I'm not sure. I can't say I've looked at the numbers specifically to quantify the different amounts, but both modes of transportation are costly. And I know that I'm still wild when I see or experience the takeoff and the landing of an airplane. I've been on many prop planes, propeller planes, these little 19-seaters. I've been on jumbo jets, on international excursions, and every time I'm like, oh my goodness, in my opinion, gosh, as a 21-year-old, when I started working, business travel was like the best perk of working in corporate America, a corporate environment. And, as it got progressively more glamorous for me, I know, like I said, I started off in Big Six County, so everything was domestic. But as my career progressed, thank goodness prop planes weren't equipped to travel cross country, nor even considered transatlantic. But as my career progressed, it got more glamorous with the international flights. A few times I've traveled first class, but usually it was business class, and that was pretty good for me. I was always eager to travel, work out of town, jump aboard. At the time, I don't think, actually, at the time, back when I worked, I didn't have MS back then, but later when I was working in, as an audit consultant, of course, I did have MS, and basically no one really knew. No one knew. I mean, I was willing to tell the, TSA, if they searched my bags and saw the, I'll say the drug paraphernalia, but my syringe, my medicine, which I always had my doctor's note accompanying me to tell why I had the medicine and what it was for. So, also I I had that as well because I often requested a refrigerator in my hotel room because the medicine that I was taking needed to be refrigerated. So, 1 week, 2 weeks at a time, I need to take my medicine, so I need to keep it refrigerated. So, anyway, I was a platinum flyer eventually, and why not with all the trips I was taking, all the airfares paid on my behalf, all in the name of work, my occupation, corporate audit consultant, finance manager, audit consultant, yada, yada, yada. Um, you may not have traveled as extensively as I have, either for work or for pleasure, but I have a basic understanding of trains, like I said, the costs, the liabilities. Um, Not a whole lot of the, I guess, I guess most people don't understand a lot about the about 10Qs and the 10K impacts regarding the income statement of a multi-billion-dollar firm, like I do. But you know, regardless, so I think, but I guess I'm going. There's planes, there's trains, they're both costly. We understand that. Like I said, I understand really the ins and outs of the impacts of trains, airplanes. I assume it's probably very similar, but an automobile, most of us have owned at least one automobile, and we understand the cost of repairs and maintenance and things like that. And also, we also have our personal things that qualities that we love about our automobiles or that we hate about our automobiles. And the truth is, like I said, my cars have actually been a reflection of my personality. And sadly, I wish my MS was more like my car. Okay, more like my car. As I was taking note last Saturday, I was like, wow, it's mid-January, and it was unseasonably warm. I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt. Um, it's warm. Excuse me, it's too sunny for the panoramic sunroof to be open. And, I'm sure I did what I did. What I did was not the norm for 72, 74 degrees and sunny temperatures. I closed it. I was like, okay, this is nice, this is pretty, this is cool, but I closed it. Direct sunlight to me, not a good combination. Direct sunlight makes me tired. It literally just saps my energy. Talking the old MS fatigue, it literally drains me, basically readying me for lights out. But, convenience of my car, and a touch of a button, I close the roof, problem solved, no problem there. Ah, good deal. Now, although I elected to block the sunlight during my drive, it was imperative that I initiate the circulation of some good quality air conditioning. Not just, I didn't just press the AC button, but I depressed the little button of the, AC recirculation. Just like central air in your home, activation of this recirculation button allows the air from inside the car to be recirculated through the AC system to get the air to get the interior air cooler than it would be possible using just the fresh air from the outside. So again, I took control. Manage this. I got this. Again, manage it with just a touch of a button for no sunshine, light in my car, and to maximize all the cool air that I was experiencing in the vehicle to control. Now, my final adjustment, it's a conundrum to the average onlooker. My favorite button is the one that initiates the heat on my driver's seat. People like, huh? My usual, my usual settings is I set it on high. I press the little button to get my seat, the bottom and the back of it. It's hot and it feels great. And yeah, I do use it even in temperatures that are up to like 85 degrees. Something about a warm seat makes me feel good. Now, my usual passenger, which is my mom, who rides with me, she doesn't think me depressing her button is funny at all. Okay, cool air conditioning accompanied by heated leather seats and blocked sunlight. Okay, along with dark tinted windows, partially tinted front windshield. I had employed all the elements for a comfortable drive. But again, I felt somewhat envious of this inanimate object in a most uncanny manner. Why? My car literally warned me. I mean, it flashed a warning message with an alert icon on the dash saying low fuel. Great. Then it's telling me exactly how many miles I had until my fuel tank was empty. Okay, what if, I'm thinking here, what if my body could be programmed to behave as such? I guess I'm like, I guess sometimes I feel like, well, I guess I'm like the old jalopy of the old days where, they didn't have a fuel gauge and you just don't go on a long journey without fueling up beforehand. So my first car didn't have any bells and whistles, didn't have any safety features really, just, a seatbelt, um, had an AM radio, um, you know, it's so funny. It's like a little hatchback, AM radio, little white wall tires, and it made me happy. It worked. It did what it had to do, get me there. A small four-cylinder automobile with, no satellite radio, no OnStar emergency button, just the basics. No tinted windows, no airbags, no power door locks, no power windows, no cruise controls, no forward brake warnings. And it's ironic because that's how its quote unquote life ended, like an accordion between two heavy duty pickup trucks. So, anyway, last Saturday I was looking around my dashboard and I didn't even notice I had been driving around with the that little economy button depressed for almost a year. And I remember I recall testing it to test the different modes out, the economy mode, the sport mode, and that was cool. But the sport mode flooded more gas to the engine, more quickly for quicker acceleration, of course. But I noticed that, well, it also burned more fuel. And I'm like, why? I'm not in a rush to get anywhere. So I'm like, I'll do the economy mode. And, I kind of feel like my current fuel efficiency, well, I like my current fuel efficiency readings of the gas miles that I'm getting on the economy mode, driving about the city as such. And just like my body, I don't like to rush anywhere and try to avoid traffic and stressful situations as much as I can. And sometimes I miss the size of quote unquote Big Red, which is my former vehicle before my current vehicle. It was a red SUV, but Pepper, my current vehicle, which I named because she is a cayenne red color. She's hot when needed, cool when needed. She's doing just fine, cruising around in the economy mode, and she's made me appreciate to take things slowly and to perform tasks deliberately. The goal of my MS management is to live each day to the fullest of my ability, and like Pepper, my car, my body gives me warnings of low fuel, low energy, and also crash warnings. Um, Different angles. The car tells me frontal crash warnings, danger crossing lanes and things like that. If someone's in my blind spot, but my body, it tells me also the same thing. When I get tired, it basically tells me to take a break. Today, I hated the warnings, and actually, after the gym, I had lunch with my husband, and came back home and got in the hammock in the backyard and took it easy. And I know that I'm a self-proclaimed technology geek. The faster, the better. The more buttons, the cooler. But like I said today, I reacted. Pardon me. I treated my body like I treated my first automobile that I got for my 16th birthday. And I just used it to get me to the gym, have lunch with my husband, and get home safely. And like I said, I parked it in the garage, and I parked my bum in the hammock, and relaxed there. And it was funny when I sent my husband a picture. He said that it made him happy because I looked relaxed, and I guess pictures don't lie because I was very relaxed. Okay, so one addendum for this is my update on my PT sessions that I've gone to. New accomplishment: I walked backwards without falling. Yeah, let's see, with eyes open, with eyes closed. I also did some balancing exercises on an incline plane and a decline plane, and I shifted my body weight to adjust, alternating between the two positions, all without falling. I also walk sideways, up and down an incline, crossing my feet over front and backwards, alternating. And I know this may not be much to some people out there, but for me, I'm stoked. I'm getting more of an understanding of my balance and things like that. So I'm looking forward to go above and beyond the therapy stuff. And actually, I'm looking to enroll in a Tai Chi class soon here, because my physical therapist had mentioned it before, but now I really understand why. Tai Chi it's a internal Chinese martial arts practice that was developed for practicing self-defense training, and it's evolved into a graceful form of exercise used to reduce stress and for other health conditions. Basically, it's often described as meditation in motion. Tai Chi promotes serenity through gentle flowing movement. And you may recall that my main purpose of attending the physical therapy sessions was to regain as much control of my body to execute gentle flowing movement. So tomorrow, while I'm at the infusion clinic getting my infusion, I'll be surfing the web, making some phone calls, and probably signing up for a Tai Chi class somewhere here nearby. Just want to say that, like Voltaire said, God gave us the gift of life, and it's up to us all to give ourselves the gift of living well. I don't, and probably will never own a plane or a train, sure a car, but my body, that's irreplaceable, and it's one of a kind, and very, very valuable to me. So I'll continue to manage my body, my AMS, basically so to enable me to be the best that I can be. And I hope you all do the same with your bodies. This is Dawn Melody, and I want to thank you for listening, and look forward to next week, updates and experiences. Thank you.